also what's important is not a lot of food. I mean, these days, I'm stopping eating when I'm about 60, 70% full. My wife grew up in a very poor family, and even when she was a student, she could barely afford food. She would scrounge and buy potatoes. And at the dinner table, she'll kill me for this, but she will eat like it's gonna all go away tomorrow. But I have to remind her and everyone should know this. There's always gonna be another meal. Yeah. There will be another meal, don't worry. But we're conditioned to eat food when it's in front of us.
I think it's a mental conditioning, and it's also like either your body's tricking you, or it's your brain, or it's your gut, or something is tricking you like, I'm still hungry. Even though you had 2,000 calories in 10 minutes, you're still like, oh, there's food. It's like turning something on where you're like, I want to eat that. I don't know why that is.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the reason that we're here. Our ancestors put on fat and they survived the famine. We don't have famines anymore, thank goodness. Yeah. But we've descended from those people. Right. So we've got the genes in our brain that say, eat, eat, eat.
How do you turn that gene off?
Well, you can take certain types of food. I drink a lot of tea and coffee, hot water even, just to fill up my stomach. That works really well.
Okay. Hot water, not cold water.
I just like the feeling of hot water. Cold water isn't as... it might be something about the heat. I've never thought about it, but for me, that's what works. So when I get a little bit hungry at lunchtime, I'm basically drinking tea.
Warm water tea, yeah, you put it like some, interesting. Okay.
But it's a fight all the time. Yeah. You know, I fly a lot and people are bringing
nuts and cookies and ice cream.
And you gotta fight it, and it's really hard to fight all the time.
How do you say no?
Well, I do.
You don't?
But how do I do that? So I've trained myself to fight it, and the best thing that I do besides saying, can I have a cup of tea, is what do I want to look like next week? What do I want to look like a year from now? What do I want to look like when I'm 80?
So you tell yourself that. You ask yourself the question. I think it's also, how do you want to feel tonight, tomorrow, next week when you're 80? It's like look like and feel. Combination is powerful.
Right, because your mind is saying now is important, and you got to train yourself to say tomorrow and the next year is just as important.
The rest of my life, yeah.
Right, and that's more important.
Okay, so was that the fourth thing or the fifth thing?
The fifth thing I didn't mention. There are a couple of things. Let's divide it up. One is get good night's sleep.
Sleep is everything.
Yeah, and then surround yourself by friends and people who take care of you.
Yeah, that's like the Blue Zone way too, right? It's like be around a good community, get lots of rest and naps, move a little bit, eat healthy, right? It's
well, these are things that most people should know, but they don't do. So you and I are here to motivate people to do that.
Exactly.
But the research that I discuss in the book is how to take that to a new level, how to optimize those things, and add some science in there.
To reverse it.
Or getting there.
I like this. Okay, before you share that stuff, how did you get into this fascination or curiosity of reversing aging in the first place? Was there someone that inspired you? Was there a moment? Was there an event? Did something happen?
Yeah, it was an event that I think we've all gone through, we just forgot about. We learned that there's such thing as death. We don't live in a Disney movie.
Right, it's not all happily ever after.
It's not, it's shocking. When we're 4 or 5, we're told this and we realize it. And we're in denial, you know, oh no, that's not gonna happen. But for me, I haven't been able to get that out of my mind.
Really?
It's cruel, don't you think, that we're sentient beings that know that this is all gonna end.
We love people, they take care of us, and then they're gone.
Yeah, and I don't want to live forever. I would just like to leave the world a better place.
Yeah.
And I think one of the big things that we're missing in medicine is that aging is driving a lot of our sickness. And when we treat diseases, we're treating them far too late. So resveratrol is the red wine molecule. It's one of these polyphenols that plants make when they're stressed out. And that we found, at least we thought, that when you take this molecule over many decades, or as a supplement, you'll be protected against a whole variety of diseases, including obesity.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that what everyone says, like drink a glass of wine every night or something? It's gonna make you live longer.
Well, that's basically because of me, but there's other research, of course. Other people have studied red wine and found that people who drink red wine tend to live longer.
Gotcha,
you know,
okay.
Dan Buettner will tell you all about the blue zones.
Right, so this molecule, is it something you discovered 10 years ago, or you started researching 10 years ago?
Well, so remember these longevity genes, they make proteins that tell the cell how to survive. And we can turn on the production of these proteins by being hungry and exercising and being out of breath. But we wanted to do it artificially because if you're an older person in a wheelchair, or you're like my mom and
you're not doing HIIT workouts at 90.
Yeah, you need a drug. You can't just expect them to run marathons or go hungry. So we wanted to figure out, how does fasting, how does exercise work? That's another important question, a couple of questions. And we found that this sirtuin, number one, there are 7. Number 1 was very important in mice. If we turned it on, we can make mice with extra genes, by the way, in the lab.
You can make them.
We make mice.
From scratch.
Well, from stem cells.
From a cell, you can turn it into a moving mouse.
Yeah, that's
that
easy.
thinks and breathes and has a
Come
heartbeat.
to my lab, you can make a mouse. if you
What?
want. We can make them glow green if we want. It's not that hard.
You can take cells and they just kind of like form together and turn into a mouse?
Well, we need another mouse to gestate it, but it's pretty easy these days.
Okay, this is crazy.
You can
I'm coming, I'm gonna check it out.
You can take a skin cell of a mouse, turn it into a stem cell, make a sperm, make an egg, fertilize itself, and make a mouse out of it.
What? This is nuts.
Anything's possible these days.
Wow.
So we engineered a mouse to have more of this sirtuin-1 gene, and it was protected against a whole variety of diseases.
Really? Were you injecting with disease to like test that, or just natural environment diseases?
So we have a lab where
It's like other mice have the disease.
we let them age.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. We have a lot of old mice, and we test them if they're frail. We look at their strength, put them on treadmills, test their memory.
This is crazy.
We got this whole floor in the building
mice.
of mouse testing
Shut up.
machines.
How many mice are in the lab? Thousands?
Well, I don't want anyone to be upset, because we do have a large number of mice. But our goal is to make them healthy.
Gotcha.
Unlike a lot of other labs.
You're not trying to kill them like most labs. You're
No,
trying to say, how can we keep them as healthy and
our mice live longer. So that we're one of the few labs where we do that. But yeah, so this sirtuin-1 gene, it makes a protein that helps the cell. So we found this red wine molecule, just coincidentally turns it on. So if you put the enzyme, we can put in the little test tube, these little test tubes, and we put in the protein, and we can test whether it's more active or not by how much it glows or fluoresces.
Okay.
And then we tested thousands of molecules, and the one that worked the best was this one from red wine. It made it glow really brightly, fluoresce. And that was the beginning of this story, where we found a molecule from red wine that turned on our body's defensive enzyme. And that was great. We put it onto yeast cells, they lived longer. I did that experiment in my dining room, actually. You can make yeast cells live longer.
Oh my
Imagine
gosh,
that.
crazy.
We fed it to mice, and they were much healthier. They were resistant to obesity and diabetes and cardiovascular problems. It basically made mice immune to a high-fat Western diet.
Wow. They could eat whatever and it wouldn't affect them.
And they lived just as long as those that were...
They burn the fat quicker.
Well, they were actually still fat. That was the crazy thing. But fat didn't hurt them. They were immune to the effects of being fat.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then, and this is the one that my father started taking about a decade ago, same as me. Yeah, we're on track to having a medicine for aging and diseases that are related to aging and inflammation.
Well, I want to acknowledge you, David, for a moment for being obsessed about helping people. And I think your commitment and dedication to doing, I don't know what I've done for 10 years consistently, but doing research for 10 years on one thing and trying to get the most out of it, and writing these books and taking the time to come on my show and just being obsessed about helping people to leave this world a better place. I think it's really admirable, and I appreciate you. I acknowledge you for just showing up every single day and doing the work.